Yo, what's good everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I actually just posted a video a few hours ago at this point, and the news today from the NBA kind of ruined my video from earlier because it was about one of the teams involved in this blockbuster, and yes, I said blockbuster trade. As most of you already know, the Cleveland Cavaliers have made a move at about 3:41 today to trade for Utah Jazz star shooting guard Donovan Mitchell. We all know Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert weren't getting along in Utah. Rudy Gobert was the first one to bite the bullet. They sent him to Minnesota. Maybe we were thinking maybe Donovan goes for another year in Utah, but then it seemed like the Knicks were the place for Donovan to be. You know, he's from that area. They wanted him really bad on the roster. They signed Jalen Brunson, so things got a little bit awkward there, and RJ Barrett wasn't a guy they were willing to give up in the trade. And the Jazz honestly came out and said they didn't want RJ Barrett. But here we are. I honestly had no idea the Cavs were going to be the destination where Donovan Mitchell ended up. And this trade definitely shocked me. Like I said, I just came out with the video. I'm talking like I had this thing uploaded and ready to go for about a day or so now, and as soon as it was about to go up, I saw the news for this, and I was like, you know, I'm gonna let that video go up, and then I'm gonna make a video right afterwards where I talk about this trade and what it means for the Cavaliers now. Obviously, for the Jazz, they got a pretty decent haul. I mean, I feel like they could have got more, especially considering they didn't get, or they got a ton more value for Rudy Gobert, but you know, most people think that Rudy Gobert is just a little bit better than Donovan Mitchell. A lot of NBA players I know think that Rudy Gobert was the #1 guy in Utah. He was the more talented player. So that's an interesting side of the trade. But to begin with, we'll go into the more shallow aspect of this. The Jazz received Lauri Markkanen, Ochai Agbaji, a guy that was just drafted in the draft. You know, he hasn't really played, or he hasn't played at all. I'm not sure if he played in the Summer League, and if he did, must not have been too spectacular because I didn't see much about him. But he's out of Kansas, which we all know they produce, for the most part, quality NBA players. They haven't really had a an outstanding prospect in a while. That he was drafted 14th overall, more like a 3-and-D type guy. But I think he can be a solid piece for the Jazz to build around, especially since they're going towards a future rebuild right now. They're starting their rebuild this year. And the biggest piece they got in this trade, in my opinion, was the 3 unprotected first-round picks, 2025, 2027, 2029. Now, obviously, Cleveland's got a lot of young players, so who knows how valuable those picks are going to be, but also pick swaps in 2026 and 2028. And on top of all of that, Colin Sexton finally on the move. I feel like it's been years since, if I can get my camera to focus, I feel like it's been years since we've been saying, or we started saying he needed to be traded, and here it is. He's finally on the move from Cleveland. You know, it's been a long time coming. I think the writing's been on the wall for a long time there in Cleveland, but today is the day where Colin Sexton finally gets on the move, and according to ESPN, he has already signed a 4-year, $72 million fully guaranteed contract as part of the sign and trade agreement with Utah. So the Jazz have their next guard. Will Colin Sexton become a star? He's probably going to average a crap ton this year if I had to imagine, because he is going to be the main offensive guy there in Utah. And if I'm being honest, Utah has very much built themselves a nice young roster. They've got plenty of guys that are unproven but could have all kinds of potential. Then they've got guys that are somewhat proven and still have room to go. Malik Beasley, Colin Sexton, Jared Vanderbilt is a guy that I'm a big fan of. I personally think Udoka Azubuike is in tune for a major season this year. So they have a lot of guys that could compete for that roster and compete for a most improved player, 6-man of the year type caliber roster spot, or roster spot, if I could speak English. But they're going to be bad. Thankfully, they've been able to get a lot of draft picks and a lot of young players. I don't really know if Lauri Markkanen does much for this trade. You know, he's still a young guy, but we might see him take over for the Jazz. We might see him become the #1 guy on that roster, but at the end of the day, I don't know if that's what he was thrown. I kind of feel like Lauri Markkanen was just thrown in here as a bit of a let's even out the sides a little bit. But now we get to the really, really juicy part. As we all know, or as I mentioned, I did just make a video talking about the Cavs. I'm a huge fan of Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Jarrett Allen. I think those guys can be some really, really good players. They obviously already are. Two of them all-stars. Evan Mobley, one of the better rookies last year, and obviously they're all young. Jarrett Allen in his first all-star season, you know, he finally got into this groove on offense. He finally came out of the closet as an offensive star. And he's still the same guy rebounding-wise and defensively. Darius Garland, he has shown time and time again that last year especially that he can, you know, he can control the offense. He can be that guy for the Cavaliers. Evan Mobley, a great rookie season. Obviously, unfortunately, he wasn't able to win Rookie of the Year, but he still had a very, very solid outing last year. And that brings us now to the rest of the roster. And they had an already really good roster depth-wise. You talk about those three guys. You talk about Isaac Okoro, who's a guy that I don't think will ever reach stardom. I don't think he's going to be a good guy or a really, really great player. But despite being selected a little bit higher than I would have thought he should have been, he's still going to be a good NBA player. I think he's going to be a solid starter throughout his career. Then you've got Cedi Osman. You've got Ricky Rubio, who I mentioned in my other commentary video about the Cavs, went off last year for Cleveland. He was just dominant for the Cavs last year. He's one of the reasons they started out so well. And now you bring in a guy in Donovan Mitchell who, yes, he's had his playoff struggles, but he has proven himself to be a winner, and he has proven himself to be an all-star these first few years of his career. And at the end of the day, the guy is only 25. He can still improve. Last year, he averaged 26 points, which is tied for 9th in the NBA, 4 rebounds, and about 5 assists, 5.3 assists. I don't know why I rounded up there. And yeah, he has had his struggles in the playoffs, and that's just something that I think he can build around. That's something he can, you know, train on and teach himself. And honestly, going to Cleveland might be the perfect medicine for that. They have guys that can take the ball out of his hands, guys that can run the offense. If you think about Utah, they really, outside of D. Mitch, didn't have anybody that could run the offense. I mean, Mike Conley's not the same guy he used to be. He's not going to be able to get you those shot creator movements or anything like that. He's not going to make his own shot out of, you know, just thin air. He's not going to be able to move around and play iso ball like he used to be able to. And that's something the Jazz desperately needed around Donovan Mitchell. Obviously, they never quite did it, and now he's going to, in my opinion, a perfect situation in Cleveland, and this easily makes Cleveland a championship contender. If we can get Donovan Mitchell to play like he did last year, Darius Garland plays like he did last year, and the rest of the guys fall in line, Jarrett Allen's going to play just as good, in my opinion. Evan Mobley is only going to get better. The Cavs have so much potential going into this season. I'm super excited, if you can't tell. Not a Cavs fan, but I like this team. I like the players on this team. This is an awesome trade for Cleveland. The Jazz, I know it doesn't seem like a good trade now because, you know, you're losing both of your star players in one offseason, but the writing was on the wall. It's time to rebuild, and they've gotten really good prospects and really good picks and players in return. So I think this trade is a very, very good trade for both sides. Breaking news today, obviously, it just happened. How do you guys feel about this trade? Are you liking it if you're a Cavs fan, or if you're a Jazz fan, well, how do you feel about it? Anybody else? Comment down below what your thoughts are on this brand new breaking news NBA trade. Thank you guys for watching this one. Hit the like button if you enjoy this type of content. Also, don't forget to subscribe and turn post notifications on so you never miss a video. See you guys next time. Hopefully I don't post another video about a team and then they make a trade right after next week. Adios. Peace.